Greetings and welcome back to Smartwatch Ticks. We're a YouTube channel on the web at smartwatchticks.com. And we are at the transition point between 2 years, the amazingly different 2020 and the soon-to-be fantastic 2021, right, gang? Gotta be better. This may be the very last Android 7 smartwatch I review. I don't know, we're going to see, but I just wanted to sneak this one in for you before the big wave of Android 10 watches arrive, primarily for those of you with a bit smaller wrists that might want an Android smartwatch. Here's what I'm talking about. Let's look at what we have in here. There is not only a watch, but a charging dock as well. Now they call this a wireless charging dock, but it's not. What they mean is you don't have to have a wire attached to it when you charge it on your watch, but it still is a wired one if you think about it. You have to have connection here. It's not one of those magnetic type. Clear that up right away. Let's look at this watch. It is beautiful. It's got a very simplistic bezel. It's as small as it possibly can be, incorporating a little bump for a front-facing camera and side-facing camera there. It's running basic Android 7.1.1 that we all know and love, and I'll show you that in a minute. But to let you decide if you want to jump over and pick it up right now, we'll tell you it is available from Gearbest. Gearbest currently has it on flash sale. If I can get a cheaper price, look in the show notes. Usually, if I have discounts, they'll kick in after the flash sale is over. It's only about 3 more days, they say, so by the time this video is up, it could well be a different price. So always check the show notes, click on the link down there, and head over if you're interested in buying it. Again, this is the technology of 2020 on its edge on the way out, as it looks like larger Android 10 watches are coming in. But it does fit an interesting niche in that it is overall a little bit smaller. The screen size, it's still pulling at 1.6 inches. Now, a little bit of history as you skim all of this. I won't read it to you. It's in the specs, and it's basically the same as almost all the 4G Android 7 watches. The 1.6-inch 400 by 400 resolution full circle HD screens using IPS technology came out after the smaller 1.39, basically 1.4-inch AMOLED screen watches of the past. So all of those watches were a little bit smaller, and somehow everybody decided that a little bit bigger watch was better, but it doesn't help teenagers, girls, women, people with small wrists to have a watch that looks okay, and not too big. Of course, as you've all seen, things are going in the other direction and getting even larger still, with 2-inch diameter watches like the Prime 2.2-inch, 2.1-inch, somewhere in there, like the Prime 2 from Kospet, and, of course, big square rectangular watches as well. What we're looking at here is the smallest platform footprint 1.6-inch watch that you can get, so we'll look into it. First of all, there's a lot of things you want to make sure you do, like peel off the front cover. It's not the screen protector. There's actually a screen protector under that, but take that cover off. Check your cameras to see if there's any kind of little plastic on these. These don't appear to have it. And check this out. For the first time ever, this is a watch that's shipping with a cover over the charging pins. Why? Well, when it ships, as you saw when we unbagged it, this was together with that. So in particular, if you get this Kospet Power watch, you're going to want to pull this thing off completely. I pulled it back earlier and charged it up, so I don't have to go through all that with you. So I have had it back to here. And I don't know, you might want to just kind of leave it like that when you charge it. And when you decide to take it and put it on your arm, cover that back up so you don't get any sweat corroding the pins, which is a common complaint we have with Android watches. Pretty slick. So I'm going to leave it on there, and I'm just going to peel it when I need to charge it. You've got a cover over the heart rate sensor that we need to take off, like so. And this is where you would unscrew the cover to put in a nano SIM in the watch. And as many of you know, these Android watches do require a separate SIM with a separate phone number for calling and texting. They don't connect Bluetooth-wise to your phone for doing Bluetooth calling. However, I understand with T-Mobile, if you go with them as a carrier, you can get on their Digits program, and even though there's a separate SIM and phone number, it can mirror your phone's phone number. And in essence, it'll ring at the same time on your watch and your phone, no matter if you're beside your phone or not. And you can answer on whichever one you grab first. This says private design heart rate monitor. I have not seen that before. That's interesting. We've got two side buttons. We've got removable bands. Those bands can be substituted out for other bands. You got big specialized screws here to take the back cover off, which they don't want you to do, and you don't need to do. Camera on the side, camera on the front, two buttons, and a speaker. And let me tell you, the speaker's loud on this one. This may be the loudest I've ever heard on an Android 7 watch. So if that's a criteria for you, as well as the clean bezel and the smaller look, that might be a consideration. So I'm going to get into the box, but let me just pull these friends over here. Let's start with the, oh, yeah, I'm going to tell you about this one sometime. Yeah, but not today. This is the S08. For comparison purposes, while they're off, just look at the different size appearance. Here's this one on. Oh, ouch. Here's the S08. See how it looks a whole lot bigger? Same thing, Android watch, same size screen, different size packaging, different kind of an effect. Now, you move into the Android 10. These are the new ones that are coming up. Look how much bigger that looks. This is the Thor 6, Android 10 smartwatch. That's starting to look big on my man's arm, which is 7 inches in diameter. Yeah, and then we've got over here the LEM12 Pro, another Android 10 watch looking like this compared to this. See the difference? Yeah, I like this one a lot. This one really will fit size-wise, and the loudspeaker makes the cellular calling pleasant, all of that kind of stuff. By the way, the bands, yeah, these are not the original bands. They come to us from Strapsco. I'll have a link in the show notes if you want to check out other bands for Android or any smartwatch that has removable bands. Oh, well, let them sit in the picture. Why not? You think it's time I turn it on yet? Are you ready yet? And then the charging dock, yeah, that charges with USB right there. The light will blink until it's charged up, and the charging pins, of course, connect directly. Is it interchangeable? I don't know. I haven't checked it. Looks like it might be. Well, check the show notes if I don't talk about it in the video, and we'll let you know. Time to turn it on. Make note here, because next time you come in, you can just skip up to that time and be past Mr. Tick's awesome unboxing. It starts out with the word Kospet, and as it boots up, I am going to finish the box. When you take out the box cover and get into the insides, you find a couple of things it looks like. Here's a 4-pin charging connector, which will fit right on the bottom of the watch like they always do. Here is the USB to micro USB connector that you'll need to charge the dock. So you can charge the watch separately from the dock by plugging this in and attaching it directly to the watch, or you can, of course, charge the dock and have the watch sitting on the dock to charge it. That gives you flexibility now to take the dock and wire to work and keep this charged at work and use this to charge the watch at home and extend the overall battery life of the watch, which is coming up into its first face, which is a face you can download from the server. Yep, I've already hooked this to the internet and brought in some cool faces to show you, in addition to the stock faces that we're going to look at in a moment. You got a screw with some extra, a screwdriver with extra screws for the SIM cover. Be real careful in removing and tightening this that you don't over tighten it and strip the screws. And then we also have a warranty card, Kospet.com, with after sales email address. And we get sometimes some complaints, some comments about, poor service and support. And Kospet's making a concerted effort to change that whole thing. So you're able to register your product and get support directly. And this is from Amazon too, for Amazon sales support. Pretty cool. All right. And then we've got the Kospet Power Manual. Paging through this, as we always do. Yeah, I did turn it on, but I haven't showed it to you, right? Oh, Mr. Tix, you're so mean. The only thing is, there's no other place that you're going to find, really, these manuals reviewed like this, so I do try to take time to page through them. You can easily just scrabble on over to where we start looking at the watch if you want to, but this has bailed some people out, like, immensely when they've been able to find something in the manual that they lost. Wow, every page is going through how you set it up. Well, that's pretty good because I'm not showing you all of that today. I'm already set up. I chose the language. I chose the English system of metrics. I went through all these screens that you get to connect to the iWatch app. Man, I might just use this and show it on screen when we talk about pairing, because this is great. You're going to get a QR code with a circle that you can, put over that, and that starts the pairing process. We have a whole separate app on how to pair your watch and what to do with the iWatch 2 app. So we're not going to go into detail other than what you're seeing right here in this extensive manual. There's 2 QR codes, the one for downloading the app, which we have a link for in the show notes. You can do it directly there. And then the second QR code comes up unique to the watch for when you pair it. And now you get into the watch faces. And so when you scroll down, you're going to see stuff like this and stuff like that. And we'll look at all of that here on the watch itself. Your step count information. This is all stock Android 7. So if I move too quickly, just look at another review of a watch that's running Android 7.1.1 and you'll be able to see it over again, maybe in a little bit more detail than today. Although, wow, we're pretty much covering everything. This is in settings where you change the language to match. If you didn't do that at the beginning, your date and time. Oh, a hint for you in date and time. You see that button on automatic date, automatic time zone? If it's not displaying the right time in your area, turn that off. Scroll down to the bottom. Or you'll get a list of all the different countries and their time zone, and scroll through it until you find the city that's closest or is in your time zone. Select that one, and it will be accurate for you. Some people see their time being an hour off, or it's stuck on China time or whatever. But do that after you have tethered this thing to the internet, with Wi-Fi. Don't mess around with changing that yet, but once you're tethered to Wi-Fi, go into your date and time and change that. Another comment about doing the screen lock stuff, whether you're just doing basic screen lock or you're going to do face unlock, you have to set a pattern. Don't forget the pattern. Honestly, if you forget the pattern, you're really messed up. You're going to actually have to flash firmware back to the watch. There's no way to bail out of it. You can't even get to doing a factory restore to try to just kind of wipe the whole watch out and start over, because you need to enter your password just to get to that. So really, really, really memorize the pattern that you put in. Write it down and put it in a drawer. Tape it to your forehead. Whatever you got to do, don't forget your pattern or you're in real trouble. Okay, and a little bit more about third-party apps and stuff. App freeze. These are all special features to try to help you get better battery life. Here you do application downloads from Google, the Google Play Store. You can do them directly on the watch. You can do them through side loading, from transfer from a computer, all kinds of stuff. And some of the watch faces that you'll be seeing on here as well, including a place where you can actually add your own picture, set up time, and create your own watch face if you want to. And then way at the very end, you'll hit a plus sign and you get a whole directory of watch faces, of which the one we put on here is from that grouping. You can see it right here. It's not terribly bright, so I'm going to brighten this up a little bit. Level 3, level 4, level 5. There we go, full brightness on it. And so that's how you get to that. Or all of these watch faces will be available in the YWatch 2 app that you can just scroll through and select which ones you want to add to your watch. You can add as many as you want. This is not like one of those where you have 500 watch faces, but you can only add one at a time. You can add all 500 if you want to. This is how you change from a circle to a square for your apps in case they're too big and you have menu items like Google Play Store is a classic example. You can't touch the menu items, so you have to change that. We talk about that in other reviews here. Yeah, there you go. See, you can get to the corners now. YouTube, too, if you need to. Otherwise, they're not visible. Nice that they've added all those special tips here in the manual. And here you have instructions in other languages. You can scan that QR code right here from YouTube if you're watching in a language other than English. We're ready. Let's clear things out and start. So, first thing you do is go to a different video on how you set up your Android smartwatch. Get yourself through that video, which may involve doing some rebooting, some factory data restore options, and checking for any additional updates to the firmware. And get all that settled down before you begin. I'm going to presume you've done that already. You've got this watch in your hand. You're ready to go. When you scroll down to the left, you're going to open with this screen that shows you basically a circle about your power level, the date, whether you're tethered in Bluetooth, and whether you have a SIM card. And if you do, it'll probably have a 2, 3, or 4G symbol on there. Swiping to the right gives you all these different little commands and controls. This is silent mode. I had it on silent when we booted it up, so you didn't hear the startup sound, but it's there and you can silence it with that. You have the brightness we already played with. This is the twist your wrist to see the time. This is airplane mode, cellular data communications, and GPS. Bluetooth, of course, and Wi-Fi, which I'm on. Over here you have, I don't even know what it really does, but it just sort of cleans things up for you. And then you've got the music player with volume control that lets you play music that's on the watch out of the speaker. One more slide, and you get into the weather in your area with its the weather forecast, basically centigrade and Fahrenheit highs and lows and all of that stuff. So scrolling back, or at any time you want to scroll up, you're back to the watch face. In the other direction, you get the overall summary of your step count information for the week. Here you can go back in and change your units and your height and your weight and those kind of things to set it up for you. I haven't done anything with it, but this would be my daily step count. Notice it switched to miles from kilometers it showed initially, and calories burned. And those are all the little dots you see and the tabs you find at this bottom level. Swipe to the right, you'll get into one more tab, which is notifications pushed to you from your phone. And once more over here now, we get into what we call the app drawer, which is all of your different apps. And I just want to show you quickly, if I change the list style to round and come back out of here, there's all of your apps that are displayed in a different way, in one page at a time, circled around the clock. So once you memorize what the icons look like, that's a good thing to do. We know that system, and I'm going to change it back to ARC for our use. because we'll have the words there to go along with it. Now you notice if I slide over one more time, I get into a section that is a fitness, and you can select any of these fitness activities, which are standard in stock and haven't changed for years on all the Android watches. The only question is whether or not this fitness stuff, especially for runs and walks and cycling, ties in with the GPS inside the watch so that you can do your tracking, you monitor your track against Google Maps. And the good news is this one being fairly advanced, and at the end of the run of all the different Android watches, 7.1 that we've reviewed, the Kospet POWER does indeed do that. Contacts, phone, and messaging, again, apply to the SIM card that you put in the back. AT&T, T-Mobile, Cricket, any network that uses a GSM network, same thing globally. Make sure the network runs on GSM, and it should work. You got your overall settings, which include sound, display, the lip style we just saw. This is how you connect to the internet. This is the twist your wrist to see the time, or turning on and off a pedometer. The measuring units again that you see at the very beginning when you're first setting the watch up. Some power savings hints. I'm just showing them to you because, like I said, in other reviews we go into each and every one of those in detail. Uninstalling applications, third-party apps, and you can do much more than just uninstall them. You can like delete the cache or the data that are in those apps if you want to. You can force quit them if you need to, just like you do on your phone. And then more, and I want to call your attention to this thing called Background Cleaner, with its battery saver turned on, and you tap that button. If you have any third-party apps in here that need to run in the background, this is where you go to make sure that they will stay active, so when the screen goes off, they don't disappear. You'll know what I'm talking about when you run into it, and that's how you get to it. Okay, and overall about the watch, we'll show you things like the brand, the model number, the RAM, the ROM, and RAM, that's the actual storage, or ROM, I mean, 32 gigabytes. It's not really read-only memory, but it's storage. And your build number, which is what you're going to look for when you come in here to do a wireless update. You come in here, check that. If you're on the internet, you should be able to get it to come back and tell you if you have an update, and if you do, you can do it. And if you don't like this, then you're good to go. And again, watch the setup video. It goes through those details for you. A basic browser, downloads. This is your lame calendar. You can, on this, install the Google Calendar if you want to and use it instead. Otherwise, you just got a basic one. Clock with stopwatch and countdown timers and stuff. Your cameras, which are going to come to in a minute. All right, we'll go right now. I just selected the gallery, which is the same basic for the camera. I shot a couple of pictures using both cameras of my hand towels in the kitchen, just to show you a couple of things. The details, you see that flipped away after a second. There, I'm going to show you details. The size is 1088 by 1920 pixels for the front-facing camera. And I can double tap to zoom a little, double tap to zoom more, double tap to zoom back. At any point, I can, if I get it right, I can pinch and zoom incredibly close, like practically down to the grouping of pixels. And you can do that from any zoom range too. Really, really nice from right there. And of course, you can scroll around live with it as well. So that's the result of a front-facing camera. This is the side-facing camera. Its details are your standard 2448 by 3264, which calculates out to 8 megapixels. So the side camera is an 8 megapixel, the front camera is less, and they both have the zooming capability and, of course, the pinch and zoom. And you can see how these are a little bit clearer, a little bit sharper, because of the higher resolution of the side camera. Just to show you, we can go into the camera here, and there's the side camera, and it stays nice and bright on the screen. You can also record video, so let me hit that. We're recording a little video segment now of me just wiggling my hands and showing you a watch I'm going to be reviewing here soon. Does that look familiar to anybody? It should. All right, that's enough. You heard how loud that was? Let's play it back.
We're recording a little video segment now of me just wiggling my hands and showing you a watch I'm going to be reviewing here soon. Does that look familiar to anybody? It should. All right, that's enough.
That is the loudest I have heard practically from any watch, and definitely from any Android smartwatch. So perfect watch for doing YouTube, video chatting, regular phone calling. Sometimes the weakness is the loudness of the speaker. In this case, it's great. We got a music player, we got a basic sound recorder, we just heard the sounds. File manager is where you can go in there and handle all of your side-loaded apps and install them, or your music when you get it in here. The clock skin is the folder that you'll be putting in custom designed watch faces if you want to add those to your watch. All that's there. The basic heart rate monitor. Nothing to really write home about. It's the single green diode like it always has been. You cover it, you wait a little while, it gives you a heart rate. We haven't verified on each of these if it's accurate. That's nowhere near right. I probably about 85 is my guess, having done these videos before and getting all hyped up and worked up about it. It's starting to inch its way up, so my recommendation, don't believe the first reading you get. Wait for quite a while until it finally appears to settle down, and take that reading, because it's got to work with your heart rate variability and average all of that stuff out to give you a decent reading. Unfortunately, it takes the first reading it gets and locks that in as the reference. Dumb, but it's been doing that for years. Fitness is the same thing as what we saw when we scroll over here, with the exception that you have a lot more capability here in setting things up. See the three dots at the top? I can come over here. If I've done anything in any sport, the records will show up here, and I can take a look at them, including the track, not against the Google map, but just basically the track. And if I go over here, this is where I can turn on using GPS with the fitness app. And you basically have all the same things you saw over there, but with pretty colored pictures as well. That's in fitness. Weather's your basic weather app. Voice search is the same as you're saying the word OK with the company name Google and activating. And you can do that and do all kinds of things. I suggest that one of the first things you want to do with the Google Play Store probably is to get in there and download the Google Assistant and run through Assistant and let Assistant take over doing all of your stuff. Because you can set it up for in-context stuff, like find a certain restaurant, and if the phone number is on the screen, you can say call them, and it'll figure that out. And I mean, if you've got a phone and you're using Google Assistant, you know how powerful it is. Google Maps is in here. This Assistant is the one we saw in the manual about how to set your watch up and connect to the phone using the QR code. Once you have remote capture capabilities, so you can take a picture touching your watch from your phone. You have music control of the music on your phone, which is different than the music app in here to control the music that you've installed in your watch. By the way, yes, you can connect Bluetooth earbuds to the watch just like you could to a phone. Install your music and play your music in your earbuds and control it from the watch, not coming out of the speaker but through your earbuds. Same with the phone calls from the SIM card you got in here. You can do all that too. This is like a tiny little phone, really. That capability is there in Bluetooth just as it is in a phone. Bluetooth tethering the two together allows a connection to an app, but unfortunately you can't Bluetooth in a way that lets calls coming into your phone transfer over to the watch and talk to the person from your watch. Just isn't supported. Not in Android 7, not in Android 10. You can send files back and forth to the app. You can find your device when you're tethered. All of that's available and discussed in our review of the Y Watch 2 app. The App Store, unlike the Play Store, is a place where they've set you up with a few stock apps that you can download without having to log into Google. For those of you who don't want to do that, you got to be on the internet for that. You got a basic calculator. System optimization is a place where you can do a lot of these things that you see deeper in the system. Their basic system stuff. And here's Face Unlock. If you have it set up, you can toggle it on and off. But remember, for Face Unlock, you have to have a pattern unlock first. And if you forget your pattern, you're really up the creek. You will not be able to get into your watch if for some reason you lose the Face Unlock capability. Hopefully, if you forgot your pattern, the Face Unlock will work and get you in. But guess what? If you go over and try to factory restore your watch and go, whew, thank goodness, now I can get around that, you can't. You can get into the watch with the Face Unlock, but you're stuck. You cannot do a factory restore unless you put your pattern in. Don't lose your pattern, gang, okay? We've covered, I'm pretty sure now, everything in the app drawer. We covered everything in the fitness stuff over here. We've covered all the other swipes and burps and leans. We've looked at the camera. We've looked at the settings. Let's finish up looking at the watch faces. So, all the way over to the far left, face number 1 is a colorful circle one, analog, with a few things on here, and some moving dots. Press and hold to shift. You get another one that looks like this. It's basically a circle that's digital. So you got a really minimalist analog and digital. Then you got a squirrely one like that. Here's an analog one with some color background to it. I don't believe the colors change at all, although the Android Watch, this one and all of the Android 7 ones, will support animated faces and even faces that have touch buttons. Oftentimes we display some of Alrod and other folks' custom designs and how they work. We're not doing that on this one. This is just your basic watches. Watch faces right out of the box, plus a couple that I added from the server. These are pretty minimalist. Some of the other watches have more sophisticated faces, but the fact that you can basically install faces at your wish and whim, I wouldn't let the stock face collection be a showstopper for you. Definitely look around and pick up some other faces if you want to. They're really easy to find. We have reviews of the different ones on this channel and links to sources that you can go to download different watch faces. Okay, a few more faces. Here's a colorful one with some fine detail in it. And you can see the watch has some good view angle on all sides. It's an IPS screen, so it's not super high in contrast like the AMOLED screens are, but it gets by, and it's a little bit brighter overall to work with outdoors. Here's a face now that you can download to put onto the watch. I usually add this one because it shows the edge-to-edgeness of the screen, which is great on this one. And the minimal bezel, it really does make this one look small. So yeah, it's going to be a better watch overall for somebody who wants to get into Android but has a small wrist. I'll just leave it at that. They all pretty much work the same as we've talked about, but they do look totally different. Here's a nice one for nighttime when you dim it down, and very kind of dressy, elegant watch face. And then we have that one that we were showing earlier. And all of these, last 3 or 4, this is the custom one. You can make your own by adding your own picture. You can get to these once you're on Wi-Fi by hitting that little plus sign and scrolling through the list of faces that they present to you. When you find one you want, you hit the little down arrow, you see it downloading it right here, and now it's there. As simple as that. All right, feature-wise, it's a basic Android smartwatch, so you got all of the things that you can do on a smartwatch like this, including installing just about any Android app. If you're used to Android phones, you can put your apps on here. You can have GPS trackers, you can do astronomy on it, you can do everything. It's really, really an amazing platform overall. And we're ending up 2020 with kind of the phase out of these Android 7 watches with the 1.6-inch screens and moving into the whole new technology of the Android 10 type watches with bigger RAM, bigger memory, and of course bigger cost. Personally, I don't know. There's not that big of a difference in the versions of Android. Battery life, well, that needs to be really assessed. Supposedly, the Android 10 is going to give you better battery life, but we haven't seen it yet. Thickness-wise, they're pretty much the same. This is using a 900 milliamp hour battery inside, and it comes packed with the dock that gives you another 900 milliamp hours. So if you take this with you and charge it during the day, you are basically getting 1800 milliamp hours. Should give you plenty of power to get through the day into the next day. In all honesty, I would suggest charging it every night, and this as well. But you might be able to do it every other day, but you're not looking at a 5-day, 30-day, 6-month-long watch. This is something that has to be charged frequently, as does your phone, right? Same technology, same situation. You can pick it up from Gearbest. Gearbest has proudly sent this out to us to show you. Again, this may be the last Android 7 watch I'm reviewing for you, so we'll see what 2021 has to hold. But for now, this is probably the best Android watch for a smaller wristed person, and it's the loudest Android watch in terms of the speaker for doing calls, listening to music, or watching YouTube. You've been watching Smartwatch Ticks. We're a YouTube channel on the web at smartwatchticks.com, and we really appreciate you being here, your subscription, and sharing this with your friends. We'll see you again soon.